Tony Robbins once said, "Stop being afraid of what could go wrong and start being excited of what could go right." Great advice in general. Not so great when it comes to online dating. Now listen to this. A divorced mom of 3 took a chance on a guy she met online. He was cute, he seemed nice, so they met up at a baseball game on Friday night. It was April 8th, 2016. By the next day, her body parts were scattered in recycling bins across the city, and you won't believe what her date's excuse was when police caught him. This online dating horror story puts the sing in happily single. Welcome to True Crime Recaps. I'm Amy. At 4:19 on an April Saturday afternoon in downtown Seattle, a man got home from a 3-day trip only to find his recycling bin full of plastic trash bags that he didn't recognize. When he peeked inside, he was shocked to see a human foot. Underneath were a woman's head, arm, and lower leg, and within 2 hours, the story was online. On the same day, 30 minutes away in Renton, Washington, Phil Lynn was having a very strange day himself. He'd shown up at his ex-wife Ingrid's house around 10 a.m. to drop off their 3 daughters, as scheduled, but she wasn't answering the door, and her car was gone, which was really weird. The 2 of them had split up in 2014, but they were keeping it friendly, co-parenting their 3 girls, who were 7, 10, and 12 years old. Things didn't work out between them, but he still loved and respected his ex. She was smart, sassy, friendly, one of the most beloved nurses at her hospital in Seattle. At 40, she was living her best life, traveling, nights out with friends, loving her kids, and beautiful to boot. Think Florence Nightingale meets Sandra Bullock. But no matter what, she would never ever not be there when she knew her kids were coming home. Not unless something awful had happened. So Phil called her mother. Together, they went into the house and they found Ingrid's wallet, her phone, and other stuff that she wouldn't have left without, but there was no sign of Ingrid. Luckily, God bless family cell phone plans. She and her mother shared an account, so she logged in and saw a lot of recent calls to and from a Montana area code. In fact, it was the last number Ingrid had been in touch with. That number belonged to 37-year-old John Robert Charlton. He was a homeless guy with a drinking problem who later described himself as not a normal person. He met Ingrid on a dating site, and his profile was pure fiction. He wrote, "My intent here is simply to make friends and meet up for a good conversation. Not much of the crowded bar or club type. Mellow and quiet is more my scene. I'm not here for dating, only friendships. This is not some scam to get laid either." He looked like a respectable, decent-looking guy, but so did Ted Bundy. In reality, John had a couple of different dating profiles going on, Plenty of Fish and MingleChew.com. He also had a criminal history as long as his arm in 6 states for aggravated robbery, felony theft, assault, and battery. As an ex-girlfriend said later, John was a mean drunk, which is the understatement of the year. He was known to carry a grudge for years, and when he started drinking or doing crack, which was another favorite of his, watch out. His outbursts weren't your typical drunken tirades. Once, he told his mother to watch that movie Hannibal. You know the one? Anthony Hopkins is a serial killing cannibal. Yeah, he told her to watch it and beware. She took out a restraining order in fear for her life. Another time in Utah, a woman and her baby were in the back seat of a van while her husband was in a bookstore, and John showed up with a gun and ordered them out so he could take the car. He got 1 to 15 years for that, but he was out in 21 months. He was a terrible person, but he was good at one thing, convincing women to trust him. At least at first. He'd been chatting and hanging out with Ingrid off and on for a little over a month. Now, who knows what he was telling her about himself, but it must have been working because friends say that she seemed to trust him. He'd even spent the night at her house a couple of times before when the kids were with their dad. Now, on Friday, April 8th, 2016, she picked him up and they went to a Mariners baseball game, then to a bar where they had a few drinks. Well, actually, to be clear, John had a lot of drinks, but She was still in this. Her kids were at their dad's for the night, so they went back to her place. It should have been a fun night out with a new crush. It wasn't. Less than 24 hours later, her worried mom was frantically texting her date some questions. Now here's how that conversation unfolded. Him. My name is John. I thought she was with her kids today. Her, and I'm paraphrasing. She says, when did you last see Ingrid? Her purse and cell are here, but she's not. Please respond. I've called 911. Now him. 911? What's going on? We went to the Mariners game last night, but we didn't stay the night together because she has her kids today. ... Not sure what she's told you about me and our relationship. Her. Ingrid is missing. A police officer needs to speak to you as you may be the last person who saw her. And at that point, he stopped responding. But it didn't matter because they had his number, his name, and pictures of him from her phone, all of which they handed over to the police and posted on social media. It didn't take long for the cops to match her picture to the dismembered head that the traumatized homeowner had found in his recycling bin. By Monday morning, April 11th, they found John at another woman's house in Lake Stevens, an hour outside of the city. He claimed he was too drunk to remember much after the baseball game. He said they went back to her place, but she told him he couldn't stay over because her girls were coming home the next morning. And he claimed he woke up on the sidewalk in downtown Seattle on Saturday and just assumed Ingrid had dropped him off. Her Toyota Highlander SUV was found abandoned on the side of the road downtown on Monday night. But the woman John was found staying with said she thought he was going to come over on Saturday morning to help her out with some yard work. But he texted that something had come up and he didn't get to her place until later Saturday night. So based on the evidence at Ingrid's house, the police managed to piece together the gruesome series of events that John claimed he couldn't remember. Well, we don't know exactly what set him off. Maybe he was mad that he'd have to go back to the shelter where he usually stayed since he couldn't stay at her place. Or maybe she found out what a nightmare he really was and ended it. But whatever lit his fuse, he strangled her to death. And then he used a 15-inch pruning saw to take her body apart in her bathtub. Police found the saw in the bathroom and blood and flesh were in the drain. And then he used her trash bags, her cooler, and her car to carry her back downtown. And when they put him in cuffs, he had cuts and scratches on his chest, forehead, hands, lip, and chin. He was held on $5 million bail while people kept finding more body parts all over Seattle, creating a kind of heinous scavenger hunt. John had even left parts of her at a recycling center. When he finally went to trial in October 2017, he pled guilty, but get this. Even though what he did was vicious and cruel beyond belief, the maximum penalty the judge could give him was 28 years. So how's that for some effed up justice? And that's your recap. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. If you like getting all the crime in half the time, please take a minute to hit subscribe and give this a like so you never miss a story. Chris and I are here every week with new recaps. Take care out there. People are scary as hell. I'll see you soon.